The Save Act. Sounds noble, doesn't it? Like it was written by Captain America after a Red Bull bender with Thomas Paine. But spoiler alert, it's not here to save anything except maybe the fragile egos of men who confuse democracy with follower counts. Under this bill, you need documentary proof of citizenship to vote. Passport, birth certificate, naturalization papers, basically anything you don't have when your printer's out of ink and the DMV holds your soul hostage. And ladies, if you changed your name because you dared to live a life, you better hope you've got a personal archivist, a stress therapist, and a conspiracy board worthy of a true crime podcast. Because proving your identity is now a scavenger hunt sponsored by Kafka and Hobby Lobby. But is this even legal? The 24th Amendment says voting should be free. These documents, not free, not accessible, not a coincidence. This is a poll tax in a patriotism costume. With Elon Musk's AI writing the terms of service and Trump yelling fraud at the copier. They say this is to stop non-citizen voting, which is already illegal and happens less often than Elon shows up to therapy or Trump concedes anything. So what's it really about? Distraction, restriction, control. When you can't win the game, you just flip the board and blame the mail-in ballots. A real democracy isn't scared of its people. It doesn't need to gatekeep the ballot like it's a Mar-a-Lago membership application. So if I have to prove I'm American enough to vote, maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe the system's just afraid I'll vote out the billionaires trying to cosplay as revolutionaries. Want more clarity, chaos, and cult-approved satire? March your beautifully rebellious self to www.thecultofbrighterdays.org. Read more. Think sharper. Join the weird. We've got forms, philosophy, and the good snacks. While you're here, check out our other...
Are we on?
Almost. I'll let you know whenever it goes on. It's the end
Okay.
of this one. Actually, Michael, you have to tell us when we're on. I don't know.
Oh, my mom is watching. Okay.
Oh,
All
okay,
right.
we're on.
So,
Hey.
yay, now we're on. Hopefully, since we kicked the guys off because they messed up really bad last week, hopefully we will actually be able to succeed at this week. So we'll
We've
see.
already encountered the first problem that we're relying on Michael to tell us when we start. And yeah, that already goes sideways.
We still
And no
need
one is paying attention to the chat.
Yeah, we need a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We need to count in. We need the on-air sign. We need to like up
Well, I
our
have an
technology. That's awesome. Like that's what we need. We need the tech people to like help us out. So, if anybody is watching either now or later on, if you want to help us improve our technology and our skills, and that is like your niche little thing, please like and subscribe and join us and help us out. We need that help. So
We're just a bunch of old people using new technology.
we're a bunch of Gen Xers that like sort of know how to use the technology, just not well enough.
Not well enough.
Right. And then now you get to hear from us highly educated women of the cult today. Since again, we kicked all the guys out because they talk too much.
They do. They do.
They talk too much. Following conversations with a whole bunch of guys with ADHD is, middle-aged men with ADHD, and it's not a fun day for us. So we're taking over.
We are. So
All right.
maybe we should like start with introducing ourselves.
I
don't know.
Yeah, let's introduce
That's a good
ourselves.
idea.
So I'm Dr. Jess, and my whole stick here is being the one who deals with the psychology stuff.
Part of it.
Yeah.
This competition. No, I'm just kidding. Do you want me to go?
Yes.
Yeah,
Dr.
you go
T.
next.
I'm Dr. T, and we'll say Dr. Jess deals with the human psychology, where and I deal with the organizational psychology, which obviously already I'm failing because we didn't know when to even start. So, I have my degree in organizational development, and I do digital accessibility stuff. So hopefully
Yay.
things will, be usable for everybody.
Yay. And I am Bishop Sarah. And my role in this cult is spiritual advisor and holy humor expert and keeping us not religious. So,
Which is important. And the guys seem to like really not understand that part.
and I think it's weird that I'm the one that has to keep reminding us that we are not religious.
Right?
And I'm like, guys, stop it. We are not religious. Let's stop this argument. I don't even want to
But
go there.
we're not. We're
We're
definitely
not.
not religious. We're all from different backgrounds and have different viewpoints on things.
Yep. And we all have multiple degrees and we're all smart, strong women. So do we want to jump into the SAVE Act and how the three of us might lose our ability to vote?
Yeah, I
Yes.
figure that sounds like so much fun to talk about.
Doesn't that sound like a ton of fun to talk about?
I
I
guess go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, Dr. T, you're the one who wrote that article. So
Yeah.
maybe like what is it?
So it's basically a way of proving our citizenship in order to vote. But the problem is that for women who have been married, or maybe like we married more than once, um, I have a birth certificate with one last name. I have a passport, an expired passport with another last name, and I have a driver's license with another last name. So that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to match anything up. And I feel like requiring people to have these documents match up, or a passport or something, that costs a lot of money to not only obtain but to maintain because they expire. And so then in turn, now we're taxing people to vote, which is not how it's done.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, the cost to get your name changed after divorce or after is astronomical. Like it's not $20 at the DMV. It's stupid high.
It's a couple $100s, right?
Yeah. And in many states, it's not only just a couple $100, it's also a court visit. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
And okay, so my question is, how likely do you guys think it is that the SAVE Act is gonna come to fruition? What do you think is this really gonna
Well,
happen?
I know it got blocked in court,
Hmm.
so I don't know how long
Hmm.
that'll last, or if they'll have that judge, thrown in jail like the other judge. But so there is at least some pushback, which is promising, and it's not so bad. I mean, it is so bad, but I'm sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, so there is pushback. So that just tells me that we're not the only ones feeling like this is not something that should be done.
Yeah. And I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, okay, obviously people are going to step up. It's not actually going to happen. And I feel like this all the time lately, and then something worse happens. And we're like stuck in this, like, this can't be true. This can't be true. And then it
Yeah.
happens. So I don't know. Like, I want to have
Um,
faith that it's going to get blocked. I want to have faith it's going to get shut down in the courts. I
mhm.
want to believe, but is it actually going to happen or not? You know?
Um,
Just a
well,
few days ago in one of the Arizona papers, they put an article out saying that they think that it's going to end up, some version of it will end up getting passed, but they don't think that it'll impact most Arizona voters. Sorry. But that it would massively change voter registration landscape nationally. That's in AZ Central. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so I mean, if the papers think this is going to happen, I feel like that's a reason for us to be concerned.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a frightening prospect.
and it's based on something that, to stop whatever voter fraud, but honestly, that's not even really a thing. And in fact, most of the stories I hear about from voter fraud is from on the right trying to get their way, not, the other
Yeah.
way around. So this is all based on something that's made up, which makes it even more hurtful. Like if there was an actual reason for this, like we were actually experiencing tons of voter fraud or something needed to be put in place, I might understand it, but because it's based on BS, then it just makes it even more infuriating to
And
deal
it's
with.
based on this idea that there's so much voter fraud happening, but haven't we already proved that that's not the case? I mean, we
Right.
didn't go through the last election with a fine tooth comb, which I kind of wish they would have, but the last two before that,
Well,
didn't they
convenient,
pick
right?
it
Because we
apart?
won.
Yeah, and
Right?
it's been proven that voter fraud is just not there. And
Well,
yet,
it didn't, and I should look this up before I say it out loud, but didn't Musk boast that he could throw the election before it happened?
yeah, he did,
I
I
feel like I read
think.
that somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, he's spending millions trying to buy elections and
So, I
yeah.
mean, if he's already boasted he could do it, but we didn't go back and check this election, that seems questionable. But
Yeah.
the last two that the GOP said, "Oh no, there's something wrong with," we proved that was fine. And it wasn't
Yeah.
because of people coming into the polls that it could be thrown. It's because of tampering with the computer systems that it's
And
possible.
I find it funny
Yeah.
because they're like always saying, "Oh, we need to put things back to the states to do the education, this, whatever, all this federal overreach, But then they're gonna take away because usually it's the states that mandate how they run their election. So
Mhm.
then now all of a sudden the federal government has to get involved. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you eliminating overreach or are you doing it? Like you have to make a choice. So they're like so
Yeah.
wishy washy. It's ridiculous.
So we all agree that this is kind of stupid. So what do we do
Mhm.
about it?
You
Well,
know, I'm we keep calling our senators, our congresspeople, leaving that complaint on voicemail yet again. Um it's like, hi, my name is so and so and I live in such and such and I think you should not vote for blah blah blah. And you have to keep doing that and it's like
Over
the
and
thing
over. Yeah.
over
and
and
I was
over. And it's like I want like
yeah.
I'm not a political person normally. And now I'm like, maybe we have a couple of blank spots coming up in our extreme local town government stuff. And our congressperson here in Tucson passed away. I'm like, maybe it is time to like actually step up and run for local office and be like, no, y'all are idiots.
Yeah.
All sides. We need logical, sane people to enter into this.
Unfortunately,
But I don't
that's
have the
that
money.
doesn't seem like what people want these days. This
No, they
logical
don't.
thing.
They want
Yeah,
drama.
yeah.
Like,
Logic and sane doesn't make have like news lines or headlines or whatever.
no.
Um, I did look into because somebody was saying you could change your name on your birth certificate, and I did like a brief amount of research on that just to see. But it was like you can't just change your name on your birth certificate unless there's like serious legal implications, like something's going on. So I don't know how easy that is to do. You can get a name change, but your name still isn't going to match your birth certificate.
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
most of the cases I
yeah,
know of people that change their name on their birth certificate, it's like that child's coming out of foster care. They're like it's an abusive situation. The name needs to be
yeah.
changed in order for the safety of that person. But yeah, I'm like, I don't want to have to. I mean, here in Arizona, we're like 80% is mail-in ballot, and like
Or more.
you just, I think, yeah, probably even more than that. I have a mail-in ballot. Woo! So I
Me
don't,
too.
but like when you go to register, you have to bring, like, I don't want to have to bring my marriage certificate, my birth certificate, my passport. Like I already had to go to get the real ID. I had to go and bring a whole
Mhm.
bunch of documentation. Why are we still hauling all this documentation around just
How
so we
would they
can
even
do basic
handle
tasks?
how would they even handle mail-in ballots if they're trying to check all of those identifications?
Like if you have to do that when you register, then you're still, once it's a mail-in ballot, you have to put the faith in the
Mhm.
system that it's actually going to work. That person
Right.
did what showed all that documentation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I'm
so
not
other
about to go
But
stand in line and to wait for vote
yeah.
yeah.
because
So we
I
want,
physically
so
cannot
yeah,
do that. So
we're arguing for less regulation, less federal involvement, and yet we're going to make it worse by having to prove all of this stuff continuously. That doesn't make sense to me. It's not, come on, guys.
Okay,
it's
so other
another
than running for office ourselves,
Yeah.
um,
We need
what
one
else
of
are
our,
you
we need a cult member in office. That's what we need.
we do need a cult member in office, definitely. But maybe one of the guys has time for that. I know I'm too busy. But other than that, like
We have to be very careful which guy we get behind.
yeah, one of them's a Republican.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But he's got a chance in Wyoming because, like, he wouldn't have a chance as a Democrat in Wyoming.
That's true. It's true. So, but what else could we like show up for protests? There's protests happening like every week now.
Everywhere.
Like
Every week. I don't know.
it,
But my problem is my neck. And I had
Yeah.
major neck surgery, and unfortunately, and this is the case for many people with disabilities, is unfortunately we have a voice and we want to share it, but the ways to do it is not always so easy, because
Hmm.
it's just not feasible for me to go and hold up a sign or stand somewhere for an extended period of time right now. I just cannot. I have 10, my head's literally screwed on straight. So I have like 10 screws and 2 rods, and all I literally know is pain, especially if I'm standing for very long times.
I was just watching another YouTuber on that same topic. Primrose, I cannot remember the second part of that. We'll put the link in the chat, Michael will. But she was talking about how we need to make all of the protests more accessible because the people that we're protesting for don't have any way to be there and do that. But not in a way that we're
Yeah.
saying that people need to show up and put themselves on the line, because those of us with privilege should show up and be there. But people want to be able to show up, and making the protests accessible is really important. I know here most of them are happening at a park, and trying to get a wheelchair or some sort of device like into that area would be difficult.
Especially since the ones in our city are where it's at. Like half of the park is under construction for
Mhm.
an expansion project. And like,
Dude, that's literally been happening my entire life, like since I lived
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
yeah, like you cannot get the accessible parking spaces. You cannot get the pathway is problematic. There's all these barriers, and that's what we're protesting against is these barriers,
Mhm.
and they're there. Yeah.
And I know
Plus,
that there's
plus,
some.
we live in Tucson, and it's like next month I am not going to any protests.
Oh God,
I am
no,
sorry. It's just gonna be way too dang hot.
it's already too warm. But
Yeah.
um, I know some of them. Some of the protests are being held at Tesla, which I find hilarious. Um, but I kind of wonder, like, what are we doing with these protests? Are we getting anywhere? Do you think anyone's
Hmm.
actually listening, or are we just protesting over and over and over?
Because I'm,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. I was on the next door app recently. I don't live in Tucson. I live in California. I live in the
Hmm.
reddest part of the bluest state, which is really dumb. Um, but and all the people were complaining about was um really dumb things like how like they should leave the Bible out of whatever they're complaining. That's like, what the hell? Who cares? Like what? Like like the message or whatever was totally gone. All they cared about was like what they were doing or how they said it or was, it was just like, I
Yeah.
think the Bible is all for, I don't know, I'm not religious, I'm an atheist, but I would assume that from what I have heard, the Bible is all about like forgiveness and love thy neighbor or whatever. So I was a little
Yeah.
shocked.
Welcoming strangers,
Yeah. Yeah.
care for one another. Yeah. It's, we keep
So
doing these things over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And come on, psychology majors here. That's the definition of crazy.
It is.
it is.
And I'm all for doing crazy things. I actually like doing crazy things or at least accept it because we all do
Hmm.
crazy stuff, but that's just insanity. That's
Yeah.
just that goes beyond. That's
Yeah.
what we have people, committed for is doing the same
Right.
thing over and over and over and expecting it to be different this time.
But I feel like
And
if we're not pushing, if we're not doing something, then like it feels like nothing's getting done, but hopefully something is getting done somewhere.
Dr. T, you talked to your son this week, right? And
Yeah.
he's still all on the Red Hat Brigade, right?
Um, I mean, I take it as I think so we know he's an instigator, right? So he's gonna
Hmm.
take the position that's gonna agitate the most amount of people. Okay, so
I love
that's
your
how I
kid.
feel. Yeah, and so that he knows that this is a touchy subject, and I think he also has thoughts and feelings about how the world is.
Hmm.
He's gonna be 25 soon, so he's like learning about things and whatnot. But I did have a 3 hour conversation with him about many things, which was weird. And I had mentioned my fears about a personal situation with my youngest son and how his name is and everything. And um, he's like real irate. Where did you get that from? What are what echo chamber is feeding you? You're insane. He started getting really angry with me, and I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I learned, or maybe you learned to yell at me about my echo chamber through your echo chamber or whatever. Like I don't even know what an echo chamber is. I'm old, so leave me alone. But I was getting really upset, and I said, I I don't mind having a conversation with you, but what I do mind is being gaslit. I don't like being gaslit. So don't call me insane and stuff because I have these thoughts or feelings or whatever. And however I came across them, well, that's my own prerogative. But don't like gaslight me and make me feel and like I don't, I'm not entitled to these things, when this is going on in the world. And so then we just wound up having this, he calmed down and he was like more willing to listen. And we had a really good discussion about DEI. Everybody forgets the A, but we had a really good discussion about it because in a way, I feel like it's been hijacked by both sides and twisted into something it was never meant to be, but by both sides. And so, you know,
Hmm.
and when I was able to express, my thoughts and feelings on it, we actually had some agreements and we came to like a point where we were able to find common ground, which was really nice because I love my son and I'll never not have him be a part of my life, no matter how like what
Hmm.
political stance he takes. That will never be a wedge for me. I won't allow that to happen. So
Yeah.
it was just really nice that we could, I could call out some, being gaslit or whatever it is, and he could have like the ability to be like, you know what, you're right, I am doing that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. So it was nice. It's like watching him grow and like this person. Like
Yeah.
from angry, like that song like nobody likes you when you're 23, or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's such an accurate song. And then like now he's this like functioning human being that can grasp, feelings and empathy, and which is weird because he's never been very empathetic. But I did enjoy talking to him and having somebody to talk to that had a different opinion, because it is good to hear the other side sometimes. It is good to know. So when you can have those conversations with somebody not screaming at you and calling you names, they're actually healthy. So
Yeah, when it can actually be a true conversation.
yeah.
Well, and I'm
And so
hoping that we can extend an olive branch out to him, and maybe he and Michael can talk, because I think that'd be a really interesting conversation to show our the people who are watching us, because I mean, Michael has all the comebacks to everything that he would say, so it would be kind of fascinating to watch the two of them, I
It
think.
would.
we'll see. I kind of broached that subject, but there's some personal things going on over
And
in
well,
that
if
world.
Yeah.
So after
if our
everything settles
viewers if our viewers would be interested in it, I think they should drop a comment
down.
so that we could nudge him a little bit, that people will
Yeah.
watch him and want to hear him.
Yeah. I think he does have a lot to offer, especially
Yeah.
from that perspective of someone that's like 24, 25 years old, because they are the ones that are going to be in charge next. So, what we like,
Mhm.
just to kind of see how they're taking it in and, not like regurgitating it. But what am I trying to, like, how they're like coming to terms with it, or what is that word I'm trying to say? But it's how they're digesting it, like how they're
Yeah.
taking it in, and like what impact they have on their lives now, where they see their future going. I don't know. It's interesting to me. So
I often wonder how we could have, how we raised our kids and how they've ended up so, alike us and different from us. And I think it's fascinating. I mean, there's a lot of what I do, in my job is just kind of trying to figure out how we influence them and how they influence us.
Well, and
But
that, how the family of origin shapes who we are, and
exactly.
developmental psychology and all that fun stuff.
if
How we
anybody
could end up
read,
having people that we raised think that what's going on now is a good idea. It's a little beyond me, but I'm trying.
yeah,
I'm trying to
well,
understand.
and if anybody's saw or read my superhero story, that was all true
Mhm.
accounts of what my oldest son and I, specifically my oldest son, but also my middle son, what we've lived through on a daily basis for a long time. So I
Yeah.
can see where, there might be some weird thinking or whatever. I had a point, but now I've lost it.
Well, it's
Um,
how trauma, like not just our families
yeah,
of origin, but how trauma shapes us and
yeah,
changes our brain chemistry too. So,
right.
For sure.
yeah.
So, but I do try to remind them frequently that as much as they are part of their father, they're also part of me. So not everything,
Mhm.
bad or whatever it could be. Like there's like I feel like I had some good, so maybe kind of try to reach for that, and don't just use like their dad as a scapegoat or whatever. So like there
Yeah.
is good in them because I know I'm good. So
Right.
like I still do get a little miffed sometimes when I'm like, give me some credit for what good happening in your life. Damn it.
We have
Yeah,
balance in the force.
exactly.
So,
So, the other one of the other big things that we talked about in our things is one of the posts that I made this week about after reading something, watching something from Park Rose Permaculture, that's her name, and from David Brooks, the New York Times editorial about, hey, it's time for an uprising. I made a post,
mhm.
and so I think it'd be good to watch that and maybe like talk about how to have an uprising.
Let's
So
go for it.
cue that, Mike.
You ever get the feeling that the world's on fire and everyone around you is arguing about what color the flames are? Yeah, same here. David Brooks just wrote a panic piece about how what's happening in America isn't normal. And while it's cute that he noticed, the rest of us have been screaming into compost bins since November. But if David Brooks is saying things aren't normal, then guess what? It's not just bad. It's the code red, duct tape your soul to the roof kind of bad. Brooks called for a comprehensive civic uprising, which is hilarious coming from a guy whose idea of civil disobedience is using the wrong fork at a donor dinner. But here's the twist. He's not wrong. Yeah, the alarm's blaring. The house is on fire. And too many people are still trying to moderate the temperature instead of grabbing a hose or a brick. So let me be crystal clear. The civic uprising isn't coming. It's already here. And it's not wearing pearls or carrying a clipboard. It's barefoot, pissed off, holding a casserole in one hand and a glitter bomb in the other. And this isn't about performative hashtags or voting blue no matter who while everything burns. This is about feeding your neighbors when the government won't. It's about holding our elected officials accountable, like it's your full-time job. It's about refusing to debate your humanity with bootlickers in red hats. It's about laughing at power. It's about mocking fascists. It is about punching up with jokes so sharp they leave scars. Remember, when kindness runs out, just try to be nice. If there's no possibility of being nice, be funny. When funny runs out, just shut up. When you can't shut up, take a fucking break. But do not confuse burnout with defeat. This isn't about going viral. It's about staying human. It's about building communities so strong fascism chokes on its own cruelty. Want to do something truly useful? Make yourself a glitter bomb and send it to your representatives along with a note telling them to wake the fuck up. Trust us, it's easy. We put links in the description. So yeah, if a conservatively bland New York Times journalist like David Brooks is clutching his pearls, it's time to throw glitter on that shit and make it count. Join us at w.thecultofbrighterdays.org. Because polite isn't working, and frankly, it never did. While you're here, click that like button. The almighty algorithm decides how many more people will.
All right,
Well, you
so
couldn't
I
even
guess
do it the
we're
way we said to do it.
right. I guess we're back. He did it. He was
Welcome back,
One, two,
y'all.
three. 2, 3, 2,
We're
1.
all do
Hi.
3, 2, and then do one silently, and he did it so opposite.
ADHD at work. So,
Yeah.
so that video, I don't know. Michael was a little hesitant about me putting it out there because I advocated glitter bombing our representatives. And then I made sure I put links on how to glitter bomb so nobody like misunderstood what glitter bombing was.
Right. Like I actually
get it
like
when
I
somebody
watched
says
those
glitter.
YouTube videos of the like glitter bombings and stuff.
Mhm.
And like the squirrel guy, I can't think of the squirrel guy, sets up elaborate squirrel traps and sets up elaborate
Mhm.
glitter bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those.
I mean, I think it's perfect to tell them to wake up with a little bit of glitter.
Yeah.
It's
They'll
it's
never they'll never forget because it will never
sparkle.
go
Never
away.
come out.
It'll be in their carpet and hair and everything
Mhm.
forever.
Yeah.
One little flick that just like catches the light every once in a while,
The
Yeah.
glitter is the worst.
I don't know how else to have them wake up. I mean, what else are we gonna do? We have people in Arizona like Mark Kelly who seems to be awake, but what change is it making? Right?
Yeah. And it's like we have these people that seem to care and then continue to be a part of that system and the same old thing and nothing's ever happening. If you're not going to stand up for us, then we're going to glitter bomb you.
I'm all for that. 100%. Can we do that to like our bosses and stuff too? Or
Why not? Maybe to your boss it should be anonymous, but
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I
Yeah.
love my boss. She's awesome. I really do though.
So other than glitter bombing, I mean, a couple of other ideas like is to fill in for the things that are being taken away. So,
Right.
I mean, we're on the cusp of losing a lot of services through Medicaid, and it's
Mhm.
going to happen. I don't know how to make it stop happening. So, like, how do we fill in? How do we stop that the loss that's going to happen? How do we support our friends and neighbors?
Especially when like the systems that are in place to fill those gaps currently don't have the infrastructure to fill in such a large gap that's happening. Like when you think of all of the different systems in place for like accessibility. Let's just stick with that. Like, losing what we're losing, the nonprofits that are out there in this world are just too tiny and underfunded and understaffed and overwhelmed.
And I mean, we can do what we can individually. So at least it's a dent. Like I, take on people pro bono in my practice. I do what I, have a
Hmm.
sliding scale. I do what I can. We try to go out and provide food and toiletry kits to the people that we see outside in our community who are unhoused.
Yeah, you
But
have like right across the street from you, down a ways, you have, instead of a little free library, there's a little free pantry
Mhm.
nearby you. And like,
Yeah,
we do what we can.
and you
And
have
for
to
me,
hope that we're
like,
making a dent.
even the small things that we can accomplish as one individual, whereas the three of us, the small things we can do in that end up making a huge difference to the one person that we can affect and change.
I
So,
frequently help people for free with their like web accessibility or document accessibility. Just people that know me, they're like,
mhm.
"Oh, this came up at my work. Oh, Tara, she literally talks about that all the time." And I know I could probably keep charging and stuff, but honestly, I just want the world to be a little bit better. So I'll sit with them for an hour and give them some resources, free tools, whatever they need to, help make their web presence, more accessible. And I explain why these things are important, and they usually get it.
Yeah.
And definitely tell everybody to avoid the stupid accessibility overlay, that little guy in the corner, because that literally does nothing. And they were just in a class action lawsuit. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of scams out there. Scams for people finding websites that aren't accessible and just arbitrarily suing them. And then there's places out there that say they fix accessibility and they're not, because they just want that money from the panic. So it's kind of like more Wild West. So I think I spent a lot of time just trying to like get the truth, like help people find where to get actual help rather than like trying to capitalize off anything.
Right. And I
And I
think
think,
like
oh,
the
go
one
ahead.
reason I'm buying into this cult, um, at the level in which I'm buying in, is that, we need that safe place for us to land. We need, and like it's catchphrase in psychology right now, that third space. We need that comfortable place to land, to come together as a community. And that's what, our 35 subscribers or whoever, like, we want to be your safe place. We want to be this place where you can come together with like-minded people. We are nice to each other. We are kind to each other. We take care of one another. We give each other space to talk and grow and
And the boys
learn
are
from
doing
each
a good job of keeping up those servers for Valheim, Wylands, and
other. Minecraft.
Minecraft. And they're on
Yeah.
there regularly and they're making sure that they're safe spaces for people and they're, you know,
Hmm.
it's someplace to be with other like-minded people. So you're not out there all alone.
Yeah. And when we have our islands, we can
Mhm.
have our own little commune and it'll be perfect and beautiful. And um,
More Patreon members we get, the more likely we are to get our
yes.
island and invite you all to come, hang out with us on it. And,
Yeah, we need all of us not only need to buy into this, we need to get more people to buy into this idea of having this nice, safe place of like-minded individuals who care for one another on our private little islands. Michael can have his own little sub island that we
his
push him off to.
geodesic dome off to the
Right,
side.
and we will
Yeah.
hail Michael once a week and
Mhm.
throw rocks at him the rest of the time. So it'll be fine. But yeah, but that's only going to happen if people continue to pledge our Patreon. And
Mhm.
if you really like us, you like what you're hearing, you want to be a part of this, give us money on Patreon so that we can buy our island.
Well,
That's all
and
it
even
does.
if it's not to buy the island, it'd be nice to help, supplement some of the cost of
It'd
running
be
this.
nice to actually pay
I
for the
mean,
tech, to
yeah,
pay
it'd
for the
be
tech,
nice.
to like,
And what I think I like the most about us is that we're not like solely focused on one message, right?
yeah,
Like if you want you know, like I like to focus a lot on using, you know, your past to as a catalyst for good, like to move
Mhm.
to propel yourself forward. You know, just Dr. Jess is like very like she wants people to know what is happening
Wake
in the
up and
world,
like,
you know,
right.
and
And
then and
all
Bishop
my,
Sarah is
yeah,
like,
all my posts are like, paint by numbers. And here's like
yeah,
these
but
little
it's
things that are going to help
little
you
things that
get
you,
through the
yeah,
day. Like
yes,
these
just
little
like daily
escapisms.
survival, right? Yes, exactly. So if you don't like what Dr. Jess has, or I
Mhm.
do, Sarah, whatever, you'll find something. I'm sure that
Yeah.
the guys have interesting things happening too. I don't know. I pay attention to
Yeah. And if
them.
you
But
don't like my paint by numbers, you can take that fifth tenet and you can walk away.
Right.
yeah, oh, but I'm sure you'll find something. So it's not like
Yes.
one. We're not like one focus.
Yeah.
Like
No, we're
find your
diverse.
niche, and hopefully, you know. And then if you join, maybe you could give us more ideas of what else would be, you know, good to hear or talk about.
Yeah.
You know, because that also is a thing. It's very easy to get, you know, like fish islands or whatever it is, like closed
Yeah.
off and have that tunnel vision, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and forget that there's other things out there. So,
Yeah.
you
So
know, it's
smash
good.
that like button, smash the
Yeah,
subscribe button, hit your notifications so that when we go live, you know.
Well, and
yeah,
find us on all the other platforms
Yeah.
because we've been trying to. I mean, we've been stretched a little thin, but we're trying to like be. We're now on TikTok and Blue Sky and YouTube, of course, and Facebook and Instagram, and I have not named them all. Like we're on everything, or at least we're trying to be.
We're
It
on
may not
everything
yeah.
be,
except for that one thing that we're avoiding.
except for the one thing we won't
That's
do.
really funny that because that was one of Nico's. He kept blaming me for my one of my echo chambers being blue sky, and I was like I don't even. First of all, I never had the other one. I don't know what this one is. Like I don't like no like you
I don't
know
even
I
think
don't know what
I've never downloaded Blue Sky, so
I don't know what any of that stuff is.
Y'all,
So
y'all
no, you're
just
incorrect.
y'all just made me
Yeah,
get Discord. I don't even know what
I
the
know.
heck I'm doing. So,
I have never felt so old as trying to run all of this tech.
I
I
like
I'm
don't
like
it.
know.
earning my gray hair here.
Yeah, we're Gen X. We're supposed to know how to use
Mm,
that stuff.
mm.
Nope.
I mean, like I could do a lot of the things, but like I just never bought into the whole um you know like Twitter or whatever it is, and
Or even the
like
Reddit
I've
stuff,
never.
I never did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go to Reddit like to find maybe if somebody's talking about like where to find something on Cyberpunk, but that's like about it. And
Yeah.
I don't talk to anybody. I don't post
Hmm.
anything.
Mhm.
So
No.
but that's like the extent of like maybe for a video game thing. But
But we did
yeah.
start one new thing that I don't know. You guys listen to it. I don't know what people are going to think of it, of the podcast that Michael made up, which is
It's
kind of freaky
interesting.
when you realize that it's all AI, all of it,
Yeah.
100%.
It's insane.
And
Yeah, it's totally
the
insane.
voices are better than some of the AI voices that we use on our own videos. But like it's freaky. And
Yeah.
but it's
It's
kind of
the
cool.
computer having a
Like,
conversation with itself about what we're saying.
right. So yeah, like our
We don't
podcast,
program it at
like
all.
um we're trying to improve the accessibility of the podcast because
Mhm.
where we started, it was a little
I
Difficult.
not
still haven't listened to the whole
easy.
thing.
So we're trying to get on
It's
like the normal podcast, like,
Yep. Should
iTunes
be on
and
Spotify and iTunes by hopefully the beginning of next week.
yeah,
And it it should be there soon.
yeah, which is exciting.
Will it be on Pandora?
We're trying to help yeah. So we're trying to help gain people and like reach you where you are at so that you can find us where you're at and um find this lovely weird community that we're creating here.
Because the whole idea is just to meet everybody and find some sort of virtual community, which is like the new buzzword on YouTube. Like every
Yeah.
time I go to add a video, virtual community comes up as one of my like, hey, everybody's talking about this.
Yeah.
And
And
so that's what
we're
we're trying
trying
to
to
be, a
create
We're
virtual
being
community.
trendy.
We are.
Oh, that's
I wish I
everything is
could
hated
crack
in
the
the
rest of
90s.
YouTube because it's the algorithm is crazy, but so
Yeah.
sometimes people get our videos, sometimes they don't. So if you haven't gone and looked at our shorts, go look at it now. We have a
Yeah.
ton on.
And like, make sure that you get your push notifications. Here's the cat. So that every afternoon you get another short. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're thought-provoking. Sometimes they're just interesting in some other aspects. If you like them, cool. If you don't like them, cool.
Cool.
It's only 2 minutes of your time out of your day.
And it's going to be different every time. That's the thing I like.
Right.
It's not going to be like the same, like,
No, a different
boring.
one of us
Yeah.
does them each day. Well,
Mhm.
We all have different voices for
we
sure.
do.
Definitely
So,
have different voices.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely have different voices, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
I have to spice it up a little bit. I mean, not I love Richard and all, but sometimes his need to be a little bit,
Harsh.
spicier. Sometimes his come across as textbook. So if you go and read some of his, if you go back to the website and read some of his writings, you'll see that I've spiced up the video just a little.
And that's what I was going to say too, is that I like
Professor.
that we put what we wrote and the video on the webpage because
yes,
I have a lot to say and it doesn't fit in a 2-minute short. So
it just doesn't.
No.
Sorry.
This
I think
week,
that
you
could get if you like the video, you could read the whatever went with it to get like a little bit more context.
Get the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more on our webpage that those videos are made from. And it's a place to find more if you're interested.
Yeah. And
everything is on there. It's an org.org.
Yeah, we changed from .com to .org, and apparently we dumped half of our pages on accident. So I guess a ton of people visited last week and didn't get to see all the pages. Oops. But
yeah,
we're fixing that.
Find us at thecultofbrighterdays.org. Is it? Yeah. And I think at the end of our shorts are still .com, but go to .org. I don't know.
Yeah, go to .org if I mess those up. Definitely. I tried to go back there and change some of them, but yeah.
Make sure you get it right on Patreon.
Either way, I think it takes you there. So
yeah.
So in the last, bit of this, like what points do we have for people to end on a happy note? Because the boys really do bad at this. They keep go on and on and on about the politics, and well, I mean, it's a great history lesson most of the time when I listen to them, but
oh my god, it's so boring.
I want to talk about like what positive things, how we can be like positively impacting and feeling like we're making a difference, or at least protecting ourselves. So that's like yours, Sarah. Like how do we go forward?
Like we have to continue to make those pushes, to make that effort. Continue to call our legislators, continue to do all that. But also like find that humor every day. Find that like, oh, this thing happened and it was like hilarious and funny. And remember that like in all of this chaos that we've got going on right now, there is still good things happening. There are still funny things happening. There's still joy and hope and humor out in this world. Just find that like one little moment of the day, take that one little moment, write it down in your little humor journal or hope journal and be like, then you can look back and be like, oh yeah, in this 1 year, I now have 365 times that I watched somebody trip on a curb and I laughed inappropriately. So, but yeah.
Finding those moments that we can just step outside of. I know I'm listening to the news and I'm catching up on what's going on. It can just like I've developed an eye twitch. It's too much.
Well, that's that's why
I crochet, right?
That's why oh yeah, you can buy our little whoop.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm making right now.
You can buy these. You can buy, those are for sale.
Oh, that one must be mine because it's blue.
Because it's blue, yes.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, kind of building on what Sarah says, I know it's easy to point out the bad. Like my greatest example for when I talk to the kids about stuff like this is like you have somebody like your teacher, somebody writing 100 words on the whiteboard, and they get one wrong, and everybody focuses on that one wrong word. What about the 99 that they got
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
let's try to focus on like those things. I know it's easy to hone in on the mistakes and the wrong and this and that, and especially right now. But like go out of your way to appreciate what's right,
Mhm.
and I think that's a big part of like how I'm just choosing to live my life these days is
Yep.
just finding something good, just because if you fill yourself with all this bad and all this wrong and that one bad thing or whatever, it can ruin, a lot of like your whole day, and it's just not worth it. So, you know,
Yeah.
find some good, try to focus on the good. And another thing I noticed is that people a lot of times, especially like kids, people always remember the bad that happened. So like, maybe write down if you're gonna write a journal or something, write down, one bad thing, but also like five good things, or try to balance it out or something. Try to
Mhm.
come up with good and bad or whatever,
Yeah.
so that it's not just focusing on all negative stuff. Because if you put negative there, then that's what you put out, and then that's what you get in, and then it's just a vicious circle.
Yep.
So just um, I know it's hard these days, but I do know, like Sarah said, there's good out there.
There's
There's
good.
little things. So
There is.
I mean, that's why, like, okay, like when we watch the evening news, it's all doom and gloom, it's dumpster fire. It's one thing after another. But if Lester Holt always has the last 30 seconds is some good story. Like, even if it's just a surfing dog or something, it's some good story to leave you on. You got to find that at your end of the day, that one good thing, that one good story. Clench onto that sucker tight.
Yeah, sure.
That's what
yeah.
gives us hope.
And I've been focusing with my kids, minor teenagers, and
Hmm.
they're really invested in like all of the chaos that's going on, and I keep trying to remind them that right now we are very privileged, and right now we are very lucky, and we are not being hurt. So number one, I want them to know they're protected and they're okay, and I'm doing my best to make sure they're safe. And then after that, we need to go spread that hope to other people. So anytime
Hmm.
they can help somebody walk across the street, or say, hey, you look really pretty today, to their teacher, or whatever it is, and they can
Yeah.
spread that hope, then they're spreading that feeling of safety to somebody else.
This is what we're
Mhm.
going to do. We're going to go get little vials of the little fine pixie dust glitter, and we're just going to bless people with
Bless them
glitter
with the
No,
pixie
dust.
people would kick,
dust.
or I would punch you in the face if you did that to
Uh, well, yeah,
me.
I have been
um,
telling my kids stories of us in high school. However, we aren't going to suggest that they do any of those things.
I'm all for positivity, but if you blow any amount of glitter in my face, I will hurt you.
Might punch someone. Yeah.
Is that a step 5? Was I supposed to step back on?
Yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
those moments where you take a step back. Okay, so maybe if it's not pixie dust, what could you tolerate, Tara?
I don't want anybody blowing anything in my face. Remember COVID?
Well, okay, so
How about just a
no
smile?
confetti,
A
no pixie
smile.
dust, a smile.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, a high five. I'll tolerate a high five, you know. So,
So
yeah.
maybe consent
Yeah.
for the pixie
Yes.
dust, and if
If it's
not, a
a
high
Well,
five.
consensual,
yeah.
if it's a
I'm just circling
consensual
back to our
thing.
glitter bomb. Like, I'm like,
I
Yeah.
right. I am all for glitter bombing people. I think,
mhm.
that'll remind them there's positivity in this
I'm all
world,
for it
and
too, but I wouldn't do it to like make people happy. Like, yeah. No, like but I get it. Just just do it. Like I try to do that to everywhere I go. I try to if I stop at a store or something, I always just try to be positive, nice. Hey, oh, you look great today, or anything we
Smile,
could do,
something
because
nice.
then
Mhm.
that's like it'll catalyst out. Like, you say that to them, and then they'll say it to the next person, and then they'll say it to the next person, and that's how it'll spread. And then that's, if that's all we can do, that's all we can do right now. So it's better than nothing. I don't
And
know.
it's definitely, it's more than better than nothing. I think it's a good thing to do. It's positive. It makes an impact on like an individual level. And maybe it turns the tide just because we're being nice to one another. I honestly think that instead of protests, though I understand the point of protest, but maybe we need to be standing outside of LGBT events and bars and, making an impact there, saying, leave our friends and family alone.
Yeah.
Go stand at the border and protest people being deported. Do something, that's protecting. And, standing in the corner of a park is interesting, but I think the actual impacts happen with actual people.
Yeah. And like, I'm going to say, helping out the nonprofits that are having to pick up a lot of the slack right now,
Yes.
helping them out, standing with
The
them.
nonprofits, the churches, all of the people out there actually doing the work
Yeah.
that the government's dropping.
Yeah.
If you don't want to support us and our Patreon thing, go support a nonprofit. Like,
Yeah.
they probably need it right now.
Oh, they definitely do.
Or volunteer, or
Mhm.
whatever you can do.
Yeah.
I
You may think
have
you're only doing something small, but it's huge to
Yeah,
people.
it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's those little tiny things, and they just make the biggest impact. So
Yep. All right. So we hope you enjoyed your hour with the ladies of the cult, now that we actually got to talk and not
yeah,
be
hopefully
quiet.
it was interesting. I tried to be a little funny.
So like and subscribe, Patreon.
Like and subscribe.
Find us on
Patreon.
everything. We are on everything except for that one
Everything.
thing that we're not doing.
Mhm.
And so watch our
Watch our
videos.
videos. Yeah.
Come
Like the
to
videos on every platform. Make a comment.
yeah,
Make a
make a
comment. The
comment.
algorithm loves comments.
Yes, the all great and wise algorithm needs comments of at least 7 words. So even if you're like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that helps us.
Exactly. And I guess we'll let the boys have, control next week, or at least a couple of them.
Or we can have a balance. We could
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
a balance.
Maybe not let them
Or
only have
try
control
anyway.
again.
Yeah, we're not going to let them only, it's not going to only be them. And that was my fault because my internet crashed and died. So I was like,
And
I
I was
can't get on
working, so
anything.
I
So
can't get on every other week.
And I bowed out because I had family things I had to deal with. So
I happen to think it's funny that all three of them are listening to us right now, so that makes it even better.
yeah, all love and support to the guys of the cult, but
Definitely.
we needed a break.
All right. Well,
it's
have a
fun.
good week, everyone, and
Um,
see you all next week.
Stay positive.
stay positive.